Good, thank you, Chris. Let's go ahead and begin with agenda 3.
Yes, sir. Agenda item 3, we have one small capital project since the last time we met. It is to do some work on the outfield berm at the LSU softball field to make the berm a little bit more conducive for the fans that use the area out there at the park. Fairly simple project just to make the slope and the grade a little less steep. Are there any questions about the consent agenda?
Do I hear any questions about the consent agenda? Do I have a motion to approve? Mr. Over, seconded.
Second.
Second by Mr. Temple. All in favor? Opposed? So moved. All right, Chris, let's go on.
Yes, sir. Agenda item 4, I'm bringing 2 third-party project requests under one motion to you guys. Dr. Geis and Dr. King and Dean Crawford were nice enough to drive down, so I'd like to give them an opportunity to speak after I touch on their project, and then we'll move to the second third-party project if that's okay with the members. The first third-party project is Phase 3 of the student housing at Louisiana Tech University. This is a replacement of approximately 878 beds on the campus, consisting of 13 three-story buildings. The project also consists of about 1,000 parking spaces and the refinancing of a 2007 bond issue, which was the second phase. It'll be about an $87 million bond issue, not to exceed $100 million. And upon completion of this project, it'll give students 5 pricing points for various housing and amenities on campus. So depending on what a student can afford, will allow them more options in the housing area. Again, it's a third-party project. The debt service will be paid using the rental payments for housing and parking fee revenues. They hope to have the project done by the quarter beginning in September 2017. And at this time, I'd like to ask Dr. King and Dean Crawford to provide a few comments, if that's okay.
Thank you, Chris. Mr. Chairman and member of the committee, my name is Jim King. I'm the Vice President for Student Advancement at Louisiana Tech. In addition to what Chris has told you, I'd like to acknowledge, and as you see on your screen, this is consistent with the Regents funded master plan for our campus, and we appreciate the effort and work that has gone into that. The development of this particular area of our campus, as Chris indicated, is for replacement housing. A lot of our housing stock has aged and served us well over the years, but it's time for replacement. It is also, in addition to the physical construction, consistent with our quality enhancement plan, which was part of our SACS SOC reaccreditation visit, and our freshman year experience as we seek to improve our freshman retention. So there's a number of things going on in this project. We feel like it will be transformative for our campus. We're anxious to get started, and with your authorization, we would like to progress, hopefully, to the Bond Commission February-March timeframe, beginning construction next spring. You can see the brick facades on the building consistent with the campus architecture, and 3-story buildings, very pedestrian-friendly, user-friendly, a different configuration than the high-rises that these will replace.
Do any members have any questions for Dr. King?
I've got one question. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What is your occupancy percentage rate to float the bond requirement? In other words, what's your occupancy have to be before the bonds will be floated?
In terms of the financial pro forma, what we're estimating, it'll be about 90%, and we are exceeding that. We're at 100% occupancy. We have, quite honestly, more bodies than beds at this time, and so it's a conservative financial pro forma, and it's the same for pro forma that we've used in the 2 preceding developments that we've done.
But in order to satisfy the bond payments and amortization, you're going to have a 90%.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Any other questions?
I move approval, Mr. Chairman.
Made a motion to approve. Mr. Second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any objection?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, thank you.
The second third-party project we'll be presenting is from the University of Louisiana, Monroe. This project consists of a $7 million renovation of the Oxford Natatorium on campus. The Natatorium, the pool has been out of service since 2012, the building out of service since 2014. The students passed a fee, student enhancement, activity enhancement fee that supports campus-approved activities to support this project, which will renovate about 43,000 square feet. The project sits on prime property on the campus, which I'll show in a minute. And again, this is a third-party project with the standard lease-back agreement. They'd like to have this project rolling by March 16 with completion March 2017. There's the area circled in red on campus where the facility will sit, and the next two slides show renderings of what they hope the end product will be. The facility will be used for student events, conference meetings. They have space for their spirit groups, cheerleaders, things like that, storage space for those types of activities. If there are no questions about this project, I'd like to recommend passage.
Any questions?
Chris, the facility that they're renovating is sitting idle, correct, right at this point?
Yes, sir.
And that some or all of the funds are going to be being generated by the students themselves?
Yes, all the funds. It's a $350,000 commitment per year from the fee that's passed for that purpose.
That's spectacular. That's great. I move approval, Mr. Chairman.
Move to approve this project. Seconded.
Second.
Second by Mr. Temple. Any other questions? All in favor say aye. Any opposition? Motion passes. Chris, I think it's time to move on to, I believe, our capital outlay.
Yes, sir. Agenda item 5 consists of the Board of Regents fiscal year 2016-17 capital outlay budget recommendation. A few highlights on the recommendation. The focus this year was heavily on emergency roofing repair, deferred maintenance projects, ongoing projects. There are no requests for new construction this year that were not already included in the state's funding pipeline. This slide shows a summary of projects by type. I think Mr. Lipsy touched on some of this a little bit more.
Let me, Mike, you all hear me out there? Let me just make a few comments before Chris moves on and talks about the numbers on this. Chris and I and some other members of the board and other members of boards visited almost all of the institutions in the state over the last two capital outlay season projects, the cycles. As we visited these, we were able to meet with institutional staff, the people in facilities and planning on each of the campuses, and learn of their needs financially and other matters about the campus. The focus on the Board of Regents 2016-17 capital outlay recommendation is on maintaining and upgrading existing facilities. We are not recommending any new facilities in this capital outlay period, with the exception of those that are already in the cycle and being funded by the state already. What we will do as Regents, we will request a pool of funds for emergency roofing repairs, replacement of roofs, and emergency and major repairs for deferred maintenance. You've heard me go on and preach about this for the last several meetings. I won't go into more detail today. I will tell you, though, that if we're successful in obtaining these funds, we'll be able to assist institutions with ongoing issues and respond to emergencies that occur in a more timely manner. For the fiscal year 16-17 alone, we identified requests totaling approximately $24 million needed for roofing projects, $25 million needed for HVAC and and mechanical projects, and $50 million in infrastructure and ADA projects. That is just for this year alone. I want you to understand that. Many institutions submitted requests for funding of land acquisition. Similar to the emergency roofing and emergency major repair submissions, we will submit a request for a pool of land acquisition funds to assist institutions in acquiring important pieces of property that will only increase in cost over time. At the same time, the opportunity to purchase land can be fleeting, and we need to have a pool of funds in place to assist our institutions when property becomes available. Once again, Chris and myself walked, looked, and saw each of these pieces of property that are being requested to be funded. We know in almost every case they're immediately next to, contiguous to universities. These are pieces of property that they desperately need: parking, for classroom expansion, for housing, and we understand that need. Therefore, we're recommending them as a package, and hopefully, on all three of these items that I discussed, we can get a pool of funds so that we, as Regents, can react immediately when there's a roofing need, an HVAC need, and help our campuses get their campuses in better order and get their classrooms and housing repairs done in a timely manner. So with that, I'd like to ask Chris to go on and show you the numbers and what we had planned for this year. I think you'll find that Chris, Barbara, the members of the staff of the Board of Regents have done an excellent job of lining these projects up, rating the projects, and putting the ones in order that we need without funding any new buildings this year. Chris?
Thank you, Regent Lipsey. Just to follow up on that, again, the numbers are on the PowerPoint above. You'll see, in addition to the figures that he just mentioned, we do have the continuing project category, self-generated projects, and some new projects we're requesting for 16-17. I'd just like to point out those large numbers in the self-generated and continuing project category does not represent money that we're asking for entirely in 16-17. The self-generated projects, that just provides authority for the institutions budgetarily so that when they're ready to go to the bond commission on certain projects, they're able to do so, since we're asking for projects about 9 months out, if not longer. With the continuing project category, there are several projects that are in the design phase right now, and they'll need the contracting authority once those projects go to bid, and that represents that high number there. The total request this year for emergency, continuing, and new projects is about $350 million. Does anybody have any questions about the 16-17 budget recommendation?
I have a question, Mr. Chairman. I have a question down here, if it's appropriate this time. But first off, the first question, that you mentioned that there's no new buildings, but there's obviously a line item on the sheet that says new. So what's that mean, Chris?
It's a new
right there.
A new request in terms of new project request, not
necessarily a new building.
Correct.
Yeah, it might be a new request for a rehab or something like that.
Yes, new renovation for that year, but it's not a new construction project.
Yeah, because obviously, I heard what the chairman said just now, and then I see up on the screen that there's some new. I want to make sure everybody kind of understood that. I thought that.
Yes, sir.
For instance, LSU Engineering Building is a new building, but it's ongoing. So.
Yeah,
correct.
Right. The other comment, I guess, is more of a comment than a question. We've historically, as I recall, and I don't know if perhaps someone on the staff, we historically had a pooled fund for land acquisition. Over the years we had that. Does that still exist?
It's been depleted, and we're trying to replenish that this year.
Okay, because I can remember in years past,